Like, where did you grow up? In
New York.
In New York.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
And you went to school out there?
Yeah, I went to school until college.
Okay.
I went to college in Philly.
In Philly.
So I've always been like a city girl.
Ooh.
Wait, so New York City you grew up in?
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx.
I love hearing
Get out.
That's
Yeah.
Whereabouts in the Bronx?
Yeah.
Riverdale.
Okay.
And then when I was a teenager, we moved to Long Beach, which is technically Long Island.
Yeah.
Although if you ask some people, it's Queens. It's Long Island.
Yeah.
But it's like Long Island.
Is that over by like Rockaway? Is that getting?
Yes.
Okay.
Rockaway?
I lived in Queens for a while.
Rockaway Beach.
But I never got all the way over to Rockaway.
It's like right over there. Yeah.
You're so happy for a New York person, though, because every time I go out there, they're like, yes, shit is hard.
I
And
think we get a bad rap.
Yeah. No, New
Like,
York is awesome. New York
think
is
it's
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
I've never been one of those people who's like, you hear stories of people who are like, oh, like we asked a New Yorker for directions and they wouldn't give us directions. It's not that like we're just impatient.
No.
And like we think you're lazy that you won't look it up yourself. Can I tell you how to get there? Yeah, but you can do it yourself too.
I live in New York
Yeah,
for 2
you're on
years. I
Google?
can tell you we're all on the same page.
No. I got trapped in a train, my backpack, and it almost started moving with me in it. I don't think that has ever happened to anyone. They watched me. The people in New York watched me as I screamed, like, help me. And they were just like,
Were you outside?
I was
or inside?
outside.
Oh, outside is the problem.
Backpack.
Inside, you're
And
good.
the train was about to
Exactly.
start. I was outside. My backpack got like stuck. And they just watched me. And I said, what's wrong with
You
y'all?
gotta fend for yourself.
Oh, it's a
else you
hard
gonna
city,
learn?
girl. You got to make it
You just
work.
gotta listen.
Now you're gonna learn.
That's a life lesson.
Y'all are horrible.
You're welcome.
Don't worry, you won't do it twice.
There you go. There you go.
You gotta take the A train to the D to make it to cross town and the whole thing. Don't worry.
Look at you now, you're
Yeah.
better for it. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
All right.
We did you a favor.
Yeah,
y'all?
come on. We can't hold your hand.
What's wrong with y'all? Like, dude.
Nothing is wrong
Which
with
train
us.
was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I was screaming. I couldn't get
That's
out.
the G train.
She was on the
G
last.
train.
She was on the last train home. for sure.
G train
Yeah.
doesn't even
I
have an
feel bad,
operator. I think it
guys.
just bounces
I'm a
off
firm believer
one
the
end.
L train doesn't work. Like it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
just doesn't exist.
No.
It just never comes.
Right. I
It's
think
like a magic eight
it's
ball.
a messiah.
It's like right. It's like a mirage in the desert. You
Yeah.
think it's there, but then you're just dehydrated and
Yeah.
nothing happens. Yeah.
So you grew up in the city. That gives you an advantage, I think.
Advantage of what?
You see a lot.
What you see a lot. You grow up fast.
Oh,
like
I see
your
what you're saying.
exposure to like stimuli, if you will. I lived in New York for 7 years. I was like a sponge. I loved it.
Yeah, no, probably. You don't even like think about it. I think when you grow up in that, when you're like within it, you know what I mean. You're just
Yeah.
like it's just so.
Yeah, you
like,
don't know any different.
It's a part you don't know any different. Yeah, which I think is great in a lot of ways. I think it's always interesting because when people talk about like racism or like you start talking about differences in sexual preference or whatever. Nothing ever seems like. It's always been around me.
Yeah, everything.
Everything's always
Nothing's
around
weird.
me. So nothing is weird and nothing seems like off kilter and nothing
No.
seems like bad or different.
Some dude has a cat on his head at 23rd and 6th. You pay him $1, you can take a pic. No
Yeah.
big deal. That's
it.
New York.
But it makes it harder in a way to understand it sometimes. I think sometimes we have to go a little bit. I had to, at least personally, had to like go a little bit harder educating myself on those subjects because it didn't even occur to me that they existed, that could happen. Because I was like, are you really?
Yeah.
So
Really?
widespread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like racism in 2023.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
People upset with people over their sexual preference in 2023.
Yeah, where? Like, where is
Like
it happening?
why?
I live in New York City, I live in the
I don't even
Bronx.
you know what I mean?
Right.
We make everything about like liberal versus conservative. Really? Are we
See,
adults?
that's the thing. I think
Like,
that there's a
you know?
lot of that now where everyone's like, if you watch the news and you were just born today and you only saw the news, you'd think it was rampant, every problem in the world.
Yeah.
Then you walk down the street and you're like, God, I've lived here how long and I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah.
I think
It's
that there's a lot of
indirect,
that.
though. It's like an indirect
Totally.
thing. What has been the worst and the best experiences you've had as a comedian in navigating this journey? And I bet you have some amazing, like...
I mean, the best is definitely, it's not just opening for Elyssa, but it was, she had told me that, move it. we're on this together. I knew I whacked it earlier and I was like, I'm just going to maneuver
girl.
my body. I think the best experience I've had in comedy, not just opening for Elyssa, but I was only supposed, she had asked me to open her 8 p.m. show. And I knew she had 2 shows at night, 8 p.m. and a 10 p.m. And I opened her 8 p.m. show and it went so well. It was just like the best feeling on the face of the planet. I told you that her audiences are just great. And I get off stage and Hunter goes up and he does his thing. And Elyssa does her thing. And before she goes up, she's like, you don't have to stay and watch me. Like, I never make comics watch me. If you want to go, great job, great set. She loved it. And I was like, of course I'm going to stay and watch you.
Yeah. People pay for this.
I mean, right? So I stayed and I watched Elyssa's set. And when it was over, I put my jacket on. I got my bag because I was getting ready. I was going to thank her and I was going to walk out. And she was like, do you want to just stay and open the 10 p.m. show too?
Yes.
And in that moment, I was like, that to me, I think that moment is like my favorite comedic moment as a stand-up to date, because it was just like, we always talk about how like we do in a way need like validation. It's great to hear people like, you're so funny, you're so this, you're so that, and like you hear it and you're like, thank you so much. But when it comes like that, do you know what I mean?
Well, when it's offered as an additional opportunity, it's not lip service. Everyone can say to someone who they're looking at, hey, great set tonight, because you don't know, I don't know, someone had a bad night and you don't know how to be like, oh, that was a tough one, huh? But if someone's like, hey, great set, you want to work again? Right now?
Yeah.
And you're like, that's real.
That's real.
Yeah.
Because a million people can come up to you and say, great set after the show. Yeah. But when you get the validation from a comedian that, you've looked up to, someone who's killing it right now, and you're performing with, and they give you that kind of validation to you, you're like, you know what? I'm doing something right here.
That is what it felt like.
Because there's so many times as comedians where you have those days where you'll be like, I'm shit. I feel like shit.
All the time.
What am I doing?
I mean, I may be a positive person, but 1,000%, I sit at a coffee shop all the time, and I'm just like, what are you doing, Elyssa? Sorry, I keep hitting this. This poor lady's gonna kill me. I'm a New Yorker. We just like move with our hands. It's a thing. But all the time I sit at a coffee shop writing, and it's just like, you'll be there for hours, and I'm just like, what did you do today? Like you wrote down, what if aliens were Jewish? Like, are you joking? Like, that's how we spend our day.
Talking my language.
I have a theory.
We actually talked about this. We've talked about this conversation.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a different conversation, but similar.
That's funny. But like, I mean, so for sure, as positive as I am, I do get down on myself all the time, a lot about not coming up with as much new material as fast as I would like to, because I don't get to go out to as many open mics as I would like to, because I wait tables, because I support myself financially. I work at night. So sometimes I get the biggest thing I get down on myself about is not coming up with enough new material fast enough. That sometimes I feel like I'm recycling old bits over and over and over. Now, part of me, well, what's your positive spin? The positive spin is, this is how I talk to myself. This is why I say that.
We're with you.
We're all
many voices
among us. So many voices.
We're all on the same page.
They all sound like my mother. But it's like, you fine tune, you tweak these bits so that they're solid. You find new ways to get into them. You find new ways to get out of them. You find new bits within the bits. And that's how I tell myself, like, hey, it's okay. Like, cut yourself some slack. Like, even any comic you've seen, you know what I mean? Like, Elyssa's set that she did that night at the Ice House, which was fire, straight fire. Yeah. I watched her do bits of it. I did a benefit almost a year ago, last year, for the National Network of Abortion Funds to raise money, and she was one of the comics I had on my show, and I watched her do some of the bits then. And I was like, so Elyssa, like, everyone does it, and you can tell yourself that, but again, I feel like I beat myself up, because I see some comics who...
To recycle material, you're saying?
1,000%.
Yeah,
I see some comics who come up with new material, like, every time I see them, it's like a whole new set.
Right.
And I'm just like, that's amazing, and I wish I could do that, but, like, that's not my life. That's not my life.
Well, you've got to refine. Now. I mean, sometimes you'll get something that you're like, oh my God, that's ready right now, and you're right, and it goes. Yeah. And then sometimes you have that same feeling, and you go on stage, and you're like, I didn't realize how little the audience understood where I was coming from with that. So you may have to work a bit that you love day one. It may take 6 months for it to work.
And you know what's funny is that bit that I did for Elyssa's show, I had a show like a day later at the Hotel Cafe. It's my friend's show, and she asked me to do it. I did the same exact bit.
Yeah.
Worst experience ever.
In the dirt.
Best worst.
What was that?
In the
silence. Not a damn. You could hear my heartbeat.
But you know what? It happens all the time.
I know.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in a room where the room is I'm just killing it. I am killing it, and I'm like, yes, this is all working. And I'll do the same set another night for a totally different room, and people are like, what's wrong with this
crickets?
I don't understand.
Do you find like when you connect with your material emotionally and the way it comes out? Because when you like you did a show with me at the store, and when you're entered, like you were talking about stuff like dating and stuff, and you're emotionally connecting with it, and we're like, oh fuck, we're following you on that journey, we're there with you. So that's why maybe you can do that same material over again, because you're still there in your life and you're still emotionally connected to it. Is that maybe something why you can still do it and it gets that?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. I think you should always be emotionally connected to what you're saying. I think the moment you stop being emotionally connected, you shouldn't say it anymore.
Well, I mean, there's times where people are doing it and it's just like just there.
But there's nothing worse than doing material that you're not not into. And a lot of comics, we can see that
people
they'll do it. But at the same time, I think there is something to say about, in LA, we are hustling. We are doing so many shows, show after show, and we have to find time to write and do new materials. Our set times are often limited, and I think it's totally okay to repurpose your material and build on it, layer it, and then you can take a lot of that stuff on the road eventually.
Totally.
And do brand new stuff eventually. But in LA, it's like you gotta just keep working through your sets and bring stuff back, put new stuff in there, and just keep layering it, and then you just keep it fresh, but you'll have a base, a core to work.
I think it's fine. I think it's okay that I have that insecurity. I think I'm obviously like open and honest about having that insecurity. I think it's okay to be insecure about that, and I think it's okay to like let myself off the hook and be like, you do a lot, you do enough, you come up with great stuff, like your ideas are great, and you're good at executing them, and you're good at tweaking them, and that's a great skill to have, and like lift yourself up on that. And
can I reframe the word for you? Instead of insecurity, sure. Can we say awareness?
Oh, I love that.
This is where I'm like, I want to be
that
because that can carry, like, it makes it the way you approach stuff different.
Folks,
so.
we had a moment right here.
Yeah.
That's like so right at my
I've been reframing words. If I have a negative word, I'm like, I'm gonna reframe this.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I got crystals in places you don't want to know.
She's like, I'm wearing crystals right now.
And she has no pockets. To be clear,
you brought stuff out your booth the last show. You had a lot of stuff in your
coming out.
We got
our rating just. Are we getting this?
This is.
Wow.
This is, folks.
You haven't got the stones.
This is.
Hold those.
Hold those stones up. This is the.
Let's see.
Guys,
hold them up higher.
This is the Comedy Road podcast right here. Okay.
Wow.
This is what you're going to get on the Comedy Road podcast.
Show him your stones.
This is why I'm still single. Why I'm still single.
Or why when you meet the right guy, he will be the one. That's when you meet a guy.
The man I fall in love with is going to know every word to the Newsy soundtrack, and he will be like covered in black tourmaline.
I know where your next gig is.
Where?
Sedona. Take that.
And
stuff those crystals right there. Do a show and go to the vortex and just dump and then say, "Hey, I got some crystals for you." Now laugh.
It's so Abraham Hicks of you, which is also like hippy dippy.
Are those specific stones?
Oh yeah. They have intentions.
Is it like sorcery a little bit? Like what do we?
Some people call me a witch. I don't think I'm like a witch.
Hey, woo!
We ain't mad at it.
They do all have like different like they're all meant for different things, and I wear them intentionally. Like I switch them out all the time depending on what I'm working on and what's going on in the universe and what I want to put out and get back. And
it's important that you move to LA. It's you know what? No, that is you are in the right place, girl. You're among family. My girlfriend realized that she's going to be tighter friends with Jason's wife because I sent her a picture of Jason's wife's crystals that they have by the front door, and they're sage sticks.
All about the crystals.
Yeah.
We've got the sage sticks. We got the Palo Santo. I know all about this.
Oh yeah,
we've got the
energy
incense.
thing.
It smells like Murphy's oil soap.
Yeah.
It's an energy thing.
Murphy's
it
oil
is an
soap.
energy thing.
Yeah.
It isn't. I think it's important to have that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But you're in the right place.
No, but I believe we do manifest our destinies as long as we're putting in the work, and there's a lot to that. With that being said, when you are putting stuff out to the universe, right, and you are booking your shows, do you have somebody helping you book shows, or do you book shows on your own?
No, I just do it on my own. I don't want to say I'm manipulative. I think
Wow. I like that. Sounds like you are.
Saying that though, be like saying I'm owning something. You're owning.
Get what you want.
I'm strategic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
And I'm the same way in my acting career.
Yeah.
So if there's like a show I want to do, I play the long game in a lot of things. And I enjoy it along the way, but it is strategic. So it's like if I want to be on someone's show, I want to work with someone, I'll follow them on Instagram. I'll like start by like writing comments on their photos. I'll see what they like. If they like cats, I'll send them a cat photo that I find.
You ever just send them a whole cat?
I mean,
just
This is why you're not dating. You're dating these bookers and stuff.
This is really good stalking.
You're playing the you are
Maybe
dating.
I
You're playing the comedy booker dating game.
Yeah.
oh my God, I am dating. My mom's going to be so happy. But I'm just not getting laid.
You're
getting booked. Who knows? You're getting booked, girl. Let us tell you.
You're not getting laid, but you're getting you're not getting laid, but you're getting matches. All right, so that's
true. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm getting swiped right,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, so that's the game. I book all my own shows. I get booked because of what I do. But yeah, I think, and a lot of getting booked on shows is doing other people's shows and someone sees you and they put you on their show, and like that's a lot of it. But it is a lot of like if I wanna do your show, I will make sure you know who I am.
That's great.
But without like sending them a tape. I play the friend game.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's hard to do though. Like it's a hard thing to for a lot of people, because I've heard people talk about like navigating between like being friendly, especially starting off and developing a relationship.
Sure. I will say I think for me it's genuine.
That's the key. That's what I was gonna.
It is strategic, but it's also genuine. So like I may start a relationship with you because I want to be on your show, but I also genuinely like meeting new people and like making new friends.
Yeah.
So like while I do want to do your show, if you never ask me to do your show, but like we go out and we get coffee and we hang out, I'm good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
As long as they paid.
Damn straight. You're not going to put me on your show. You better
You're not gonna book. You better pay. I agree. That's 101. 101. Let's be real.
Yeah. So I think it's strategic, but it is genuine.
Have you ever had rep in regard to comedy? Have you ever done an agent or a manager?
I have a theatrical agent and I have a theatrical manager and I have a commercial agent. But I was just talking to my trainer about this the other day because he was like, you should get representation for your comedy. And I was like, I honestly didn't even know that was like a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah.
It's a thing, but it's a thing that we don't think about a lot as
Right.
comics.
Yeah. It's
Because
not as prevalent. I
all
don't
of
think.
the comedians I know who have representation are rep by people theatrically who I feel like also do their comedy stuff.
It spills over.
It's the same.
kinda-
I'm repped with a comedy manager, and they do it across the board because you're doing everything. You're an actress too.
Yeah.
So it is something beneficial to have it.
I do think once we
connected.
get out of this strike, it is something I'm going to spend a little bit more time and energy into moving forward, because while I'm a huge fan of doing what I do and how I do it, it's time consuming and exhausting. And I feel like I'm at a point now where like I've been working a lot on like my own worthiness and like recognizing my own worthiness, and I feel like I am worthy of having everything I want, and one of those things is for someone to book me for me.
You are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
but I want to wait until we get out of the strike.
Now, you had said in regard to the strike, perfect parlay there. By the end, you hope to have a new hour with a lot of look at the being single. Have you done a full hour?
No.
Okay.
It's hard to get up and get a full hour.
Yeah.
It is.
No,
There are some places that will give you longer sets.
Right.
But not an hour.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to like run it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just going to ask Miles if I can like rent the theater for an hour and just walk back and forth and run it. But there are some people I know that direct comedy specials and have produced comedy specials that I plan on reaching out to when I feel like it's written and it's ready, and be like, here you go. But obviously not now during a strike, because that would not be appropriate.
What kind of set? What's a long set for you? Like, are you doing features 2025 kind of thing?
The longest I think I've done is 20.
Okay.
Which is great.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It
when
is.
I watch Elyssa do an hour, I'm like, hot damn.
Yeah.
And slay.
Yeah.
You
and
know-
do it twice.
You know, one thing I learned recently that I didn't know about doing an hour, and I was very relieved by this. I don't know if you guys, I might be the last one to know. A lot of times there's a teleprompter in the back.
Or in the
when
front
you're doing your
and on
so
the
someplace so
yeah.
you can watch so because they're risking thousands of dollars
Sure.
in production
That
and
makes
lighting
sense.
and crew. They don't want to take a chance, even if you've been doing it on the road for a full year and you've got it done.
Does not do that.
No,
Wow.
and
Oh, wow.
I saw 2 specials in the same night, and one used the prompter, which was a big flat screen TV, and the other one, it was off. So I was like, wow, like this other woman.
I would not want to have that because I don't want to use it as a crutch.
Yeah.
And I don't want to have to look back. There's also something about being in the moment with your audience and connecting with your audience. And I think it's okay. Sometimes you do your set and you go up, you forget what joke you wanted to do next because it happens. It's similar in acting when it's you have all your lines memorized and then you do it and you go up on your line and they say, whoever they are, that you go up on your line because you were so in the moment that you forgot what came next. And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Especially in theatrical, it's a little bit different because there are lines you need to say. But in
Yeah.
got-up, it's you can get yourself out of that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? You go up, just
nobody
connect with the
knows.
audience. You know what I mean? Matt Rife made a career out of getting
Well,
with the audience.
and that was my next thing I was going to ask you about. Matt Rife, is kind of leading the way with crowd work right now.
Yeah, it's great.
You do crowd work, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And do you like doing crowd work?
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it for an entire show the way Matt does. I think that's great. I think what he does is fantastic. I think it's great. I think it's so much fun. I think it's great when it doesn't go the way you think it's gonna go.
You also have an improv background that you left,
and an acting
you
background.
left for stand up. Because
Yeah.
to me, I'm a little hardcore when it comes to stand up because I tried improv. I went to UCB as well. I like prepared thoughts.
Same.
I like crafted,
Same.
structured, and I want to show up to hear more of a Socratic, presentation of
Same.
doctrine, if you will.
But that's how I feel about comedy in general as a whole, as the word comedy. That's why my bread and butter, if you were Elyssa, what's your dream? If you could do anything right now, this second, what would you do?
Yeah.
And my answer would be, I want to be a series regular on a network sitcom.
Hey.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I love that kind of comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 camera,
Yeah.
the TV show Mom,
Just like now.
Cheers,
Yep.
that kind of set up joke, set up joke, set up
Yeah.
joke, set up
Yeah.
set up joke. The musicality of comedy is
Yeah.
what sets me off. I love it.
There is a musicality.
But there's something to be said for stand-up comedy. There's another aspect to that music. And sometimes within that musical piece, there's the instrumental part that you don't know what the hell's going to come out, like jazz.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And it's you can, when you watch a jazz trio do it, so they riff off each other. And that to me is your relationship with the audience.
For sure.
It's
And sometimes-
conversational.
Yes.
You're
Totally.
bringing
Could
them
be
in.
dissonant, but could be melodic.
Well,
Totally. And
you're
I
in
don't know if you guys are Fish fans, but Trey Anastasio would always say that playing in a band and performing on stage in front of an audience, the only way to really make that work is to have a conversation amongst the musicians when you're playing.
Yeah.
So those instruments are just having conversations with each other. And I think the same can really be applied to doing stand-up because you've got to get in your groove, obviously. It's only you up there. But when you have the ability to do crowd work, you can totally shift gears and you are creating a new atmosphere, new energy. You can bring it back and it gives you an opportunity to really experiment and have fun with it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But I am 1,000% with you with regards to one of the things I like about doing the same bit over and over is hitting a different word differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You never know.
Hitting a different word in the joke differently and seeing what happens. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's not great. And you're great. Well, now I learned that it's not great. You know what I mean?
But I think it's nice that the audience gets a prepared dish. If it were
I
a
agree.
meal,
See, I'm different than I like when it's a little bit messy. I even I'm a director too, and I even like when I like to. Let's do a scene where you improv a little bit.
Sure.
There's something magical
in
that
a way,
comes
that's
out.
what open mics are for.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, I think, when it's you're a comic performing at a sold out stadium where thousands
That's
of people
different,
have
the
paid
thing,
money
yeah.
for a ticket to see you do comedy.
Yeah.
That needs to be tight. That needs to be
yeah.
rehearsed.
Absolutely.
And even within it, I went, Margaret Cho was working on her latest special and she was at the Improv and she was doing it every week. And she would even say at the end of her set, she would say, don't come next week. It's going to be the same thing. Don't come. But it's interesting to see where she decides to weave in the improv And you know what I mean? Like
you saw it both several times.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How was it different? Like what?
Because she does listen to the audience, and when one joke would hit one time and one joke like wouldn't hit the next time, like she would either roll over it. There was one time where she like, because I went a bunch of times. There was one time where she like doubled down on it and like hit it again. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like there's no right or wrong way to it. Like it's it's just like the musicality of it. You know what I mean?
Have you experienced a difference? Because it sounds like you've done different size audiences.
Yeah.
Have you felt a difference in that relationship and like a smaller? You said sometimes you'd rather have a smaller, intimate crew than a larger audience, and you feel like sometimes you walk with more followers if you do something smaller. Do you feel like, I don't know, performing for 50 is different? Like what's the largest you perform for?
That's a good question. What is the largest? I mean, I'm wondering if it's Eliza's sold out show at the Ice House.
What do you think that held?
What does it hold?
I don't know.
300? I don't even know what they're at now.
I have no idea.
They redid it, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a sports stadium now. It's insane.
Oh, I haven't.
I was there
performed
before.
at the new one.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I haven't. I was never there prior to the shutdown.
But do you feel it's more intimate? Can you get that resonance? Can you get a response more quickly from like a smaller crowd?
I think no, because sometimes things don't go well with a small crowd. Like the show I did the night after Eliza's, like, and it's awful. It's like, just get me off stage, just light me, just light me, just light me.
Where's the light? Where's the light?
Did I see the light? That was the light, right? That's the light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes small audiences are awful. I performed for a small audience recently in San Diego, and I remember walking in and being like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, because in San Diego specifically, there are different pockets, I feel like, and certain things go well and certain things don't.
Oh, interesting. That's the city now.
I love them.
And I was like, I'm going to see how my first joke goes, and that's going to alter where I take my set.
Yeah.
And I remember saying that, and I did the first joke, and it went really, really well, and I was like, oh, I got that.
Yeah.
And I was like, great. But they were small, and they were on board.
Yeah.
So I think it varies in size, because you can have I've performed for larger audiences, and it doesn't go as great as I think it will.
Yeah.
It didn't bomb like that show that struck my heart, but like,
no, I love that not that it happened to you, but I like that you were able to go from knowing that you just crushed in front of someone who you're excited about and who has a huge audience and a huge following, and the very next time the same material, because that's the life we live.
I know.
Yeah.
It's not like a chef.
You're
like,
I'm a god. I want to kill myself.
Ain't that a bitch?
The next show. Do you have any idea what might have caused that? Do you ever break that down and try to like think?
He's so in the head about it. He's like, what is that? What is
First
that?
of all,
I'm a very
I never
cerebral.
blame the audience. And I know a lot of times.
right.
I never.
Bad audience. Just a bad audience.
I never blame the audience.
Yeah. Are they deaf? Is this deaf?
Right? Like maybe. Let me say it one more time.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know. I do remember not feeling great after that set, and I knew it was like a show that like I couldn't just leave. Like I had to like stay and watch the rest of the show. So to like sit in the back and then
stew in your juices for a minute there, just deal with it.
So painful.
Well, good you stayed.
It was so painful, but I remember feeling really bad, but I also remember being like, just remember the feeling that you had last night, and like, this is what you signed up for, and this is the life. And I'm sure I don't think that I went back and like looked for the lessons in it. I do remember saying I wanted to, and I think I was like, let's
not do that.
We're gonna skip over
I think sometimes what happens is when to make a baseball reference, if you just go to bat looking for a base hit, a base hit. You're not trying to hit a home run. You just want a base hit. You just want contact.